Well, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, November the 14th. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Town Council. I'd like to welcome all our viewers who are viewing or watching from home, and you'll be able to find our package of our agenda, and all our documents will be able to be found on the website. Also, welcome to all of council in attendance. Welcome as well to our CAO, Jeff Baker, Deputy Administrator Wendy McKinnon, our Municipal Clerk, Kim Casely, and our Chief of Police, Louis Sutherland. Welcome to everyone. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is the unceded Mi'kmaq territory and is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous peoples who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Council, the agenda is before you. I don't have any other additions or deletions to add to it, so if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as circulated. So moved by Deputy Mayor Pickering, seconded by Councillor Gallant. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. What about, and we'll welcome to our midst tonight our Councillor-elect, Tyler Doucette. Good to have you here.
Yes, thank you.
Are there any declarations of conflict of interest on any of the topics that we have before us tonight? Hearing none, we'll move right along. There's no delegations, so we'll move right along to the adoption of the previous minutes. The minutes of October the 11th regular meeting are before you. Are there any errors or omissions in the regular meeting minutes of October the 11th? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the minutes as circulated. So moved by Councillor Spencer, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. What about business arising out of the minutes of October the 11th? Any business arising out of the minutes? Hearing none, we'll move right along to reports. The first report is the Chief Administrative Officer's report. That report is before you. Are there any questions on the Chief Administrative Officer's report? Councillor Mann.
Just on number 21 about the rink. I was approached on Saturday night and was told that everything went through, but I haven't heard anything.
I'll be mentioning that under other matters here tonight. There is going to be a funding announcement, and I'll give you the details on that on the other matters. You can put it in your calendars then. So there is new information tonight.
Yeah, so one of my agenda factors, but it wasn't on it.
No, it's just about 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock this afternoon, I think it's this afternoon when the time was set. So it's coming before you tonight. Anything further? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the CAO's report as presented. So moved by Councillor Toombs, seconded by Councillor McCrae. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. The next item is the Fire Department Statistical Report. That report is before you. Are there any questions on the Fire Department Statistical Report? No questions? Then I would entertain a motion to adopt the report as presented. Moved by Councillor McCrae, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. The next report is the Police Department Statistical Report. That report is before you. Any questions on the report? Councillor Spencer.
I was just curious what would make up the Fire Prevention Act. Would that be like an arson call?
Chief, perhaps you can answer that.
Yeah, just I believe it was for a fire. It was out in the yard somewhere that wasn't supposed to be. I know it wasn't anything serious.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions, Council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the Police Department Statistical Report as presented. So moved by Deputy Mayor Pickering, seconded by Councillor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. There's a repeat here. Okay. there's the humor for the evening. Now we'll move right along to the development permit summary report. That report is before you. What are you doing? Just put your phone away there, Mr. Baker. All right. The development permit summary report is before you. Any questions, council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt it as presented. So moved by Councillor Spencer, seconded by Councillor McCray. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. All right, we are now into the bills list for the town. Any questions on the bills before the town? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to receive and pay the bills for the town in the amount of $165,889.39. So moved by Deputy Mayor Pickering, seconded by Councillor Mann. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Additionally, we have capital expenditures in the amount of $74,615.40. I would entertain a motion to adopt that, or receive those bills and pay them. So moved by Councillor Toombs, seconded by Councillor Mann. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. The bills list for the water and sewer utility are before you. Any questions, council? Councillor Mann.
No, thank you, Your Worship. We might have talked about it at the committee, but I'm drawing a blank here. The Kensington septic for Fiona Hurricane. I just wonder what that was. Because I wouldn't think we'd need pumped out with the generator.
Mr. Baker?
That is a standby charge, so we had them on standby for the entire weekend. Summerside had one of their trucks on standby, and we had one of their trucks on standby. It's not about losing power, it's about the capacity of the plant and whether or not it had the ability to handle it all. We didn't end up needing them, so we let them go about midday on Saturday, but that is purely a standby cost.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So I assume that'll be recoverable through the insurance.
We're certainly going to try and recover it either through insurance or through the disaster financial assistance program. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Councillor Spencer, did you have a question?
I did, Your Worship. It was actually the very same one. And I was thinking it was a standby charge, but my question, I understood that we were very lucky in the sense that our Public Works Department reached out and secured this backup. I wasn't sure if we should maybe try and formalize something rather than have it the luck of us remembering to be the first one to call in future issues, that we would have something formalized with Kensington Septic to be a backup for us in any emergency like this.
Do you have any comments? Okay, Mr. Baker.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea for us to formalize something with them, and I think they'd be very much open to allowing something to be formalized. Longer term, we want to take a look at the capacity of our plant, the pumping capacity at the plant, and to take our reliance off the need to have somebody on standby. So that's something that we'll look at in parallel to try and put something together with Kensington Septic.
Any other questions, council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to receive and pay the bills in the amount of $18,554.53 for the water and sewer utility. So moved by Councillor Gallant, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. All right, we're into the summary income statement. That summary income statement is before you. Any questions, council, on the summary income statement? Councillor Toombs.
I was just wondering why there's such a big difference in the general revenue budgeted and actual, if there's something, a reason for that, or?
I don't have the detail before me. Mr. Baker or Mrs. McKinnon, would you have an answer? You mean for the month, right? The general revenue is what you're referring to?
Yeah, one's 279, one's 157, right? I was just wondering, is that a typo, or is that, there must be something that just didn't come, or, you know?
It might be a sale of the business park, but
I believe it is a business park.
Yeah, for the business park, we budget so many lots to be sold, I think, for the year. And we have budgeted them, probably one of them in that month. If you look year-to-date, we're pretty well right on, so we probably had it closed prior to then. So that's probably, is that correct?
here's the, we didn't,
Yeah, it's the gain on the disposal
Yeah.
of capital assets.
That's exactly what it is. Okay. Any other questions, council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the report for the income comparison report to the end of September 2022. So moved by Councillor Mann, seconded by Councillor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. Next, we're into the Credit Union Center report. That report is before you. Council, are there any questions on the Credit Union Center report? Councillor Spencer.
The dugout that was destroyed in Fiona, that was a new one we built after Dorian, is that correct?
that is correct.
That's correct, yeah.
So I'm just wondering, I think when we rebuilt, we had the option of a chain link fence for a dugout, and I just wonder if that would be an option maybe we should look at again this time, at least to get pricing on. Something that would maybe last in a future event.
Mr. Baker's making a note, so I guess that'll be something that'll be looked at and considered when something comes before council for consideration. Any other, Councillor Mann?
Just to add to that, being a baseball parent and traveling the island, all the new baseball fields are all chain link fence dugouts now.
Is that right?
With like kind of a steel little roof on it, and then because the players prefer it because all the bags come with hooks to hang on the fence. So.
Okay. Mr. Baker has that noted. Any other questions, council? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the Credit Union Center report to the end of September. So moved by Councillor Spencer, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. Next report is the mayor's report. That report is before you. There's not much that I need to explain on it, but there is a letter that I had written to Honorable Minister Corey Deagle, which is part of it. But I did want to mention, and I'm going to, this is the Shaw Award that the town of Kensington received, and we're quite honored to receive it from the Rural Beautification Society, and we'll hang it prominently in the town hall here somewhere. And we get to hang it for a year, and then we return it, and we've got another smaller plaque that we'll be able to keep forever. But this is something that's quite an honor to receive this. The town should be proud of what we've done, the honor of receiving this award. This is the last award that's presented in the evening, and it was nice to be there for it, and it was nice to receive it on behalf of the town. And it was a surprise, because I did not know that we were receiving it. So it was a pleasant surprise. So thank you to everyone on council who made that possible. Are there any questions on the mayor's report as presented? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the report as presented. So moved by Councillor Spencer, second by Councillor McCrae. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. All right, we're into the Federation of Prince Edward Island Municipalities report. Councillor Mann, do you have anything to report?
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, our last meeting was held, actually, the board meeting was held with Minister Fox. So we had great discussion on a few items. We talked about the current state of municipal government, already some dissolutions that were coming through. And we talked about strengthening the municipal financial framework to get a new some financial program in place. And we talked about municipal capacity and restructuring, land use policy, and public transit. So,
So it was discussions, there was nothing promised or anything like that, eh?
no,
Just
no.
further discussion?
He didn't, unfortunately, he left the checkbook at home, so.
Ah. Smart, probably, smart. All right, any questions of Councillor Mann? Just keep the pressure on. All right, we'll move right along to the Heart of PEI Initiative Report. Deputy Mayor Pickering.
Thank you, Your Worship. Don't have too much to report. We still don't have any word from the ACOA with moving forward. I think Fiona put a little sidetrack on them finalizing our proposal. But we are happy to see that the storyboards have been installed. I haven't physically seen them myself, but I saw Councillor Gallant had posted a few of the boards, and so they're being seen through Facebook right now, that I know, and people are responding well to them. I'm hoping to go down tomorrow and take a peek at them myself.
I think there's 3 or 4 more to be installed yet
Yeah.
around
And I
town.
don't think all of them are.
I think one is being installed out in Malpeck, I believe. Am I correct? I'm not sure. I think there's 2 or 3 more around town, I believe. Isn't
Are
there
you talking
4?
about like the narrative for some of the, not. I don't
Some of the narrative, I guess, isn't done on some of them either, eh?
There, I believe we don't have all 16 done, like, you guys had allotted us to do 16,
Yeah.
I think we have 13 or 14.
Yeah, there's 11 placed,
Yeah.
and there's a few more, I think,
To get
yeah.
finalized.
right.
But then we've also put the narrative to, like, we have, like, the painting that's beside
Right.
C&B, and we have one out in Malpeck, and then one out in Stanley Bridge. So we have little plaques to go along with those
Okay,
to give
good.
some detail and background on those.
Good. It's a good project. I think it bodes well for Kensington and for the Heart of PEI. All right, thank you. Any questions of Deputy Mayor Pickering? Councillor Glad?
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a question, but
You
I
have
have a
your mic
comment
on?
regarding.
My mic on, sorry. I'm not repeating
Sorry, Deputy Mayor Pickering, we want you to say that word for word.
This is her last meeting,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
As much as I want.
She's got one more. Yes, Councillor Glant.
I just have a comment regarding the Heart of PEI, and I was down and I viewed all the boards that are up, and I think it's great. They look good, and I just wanted to comment. Of course, there's some of them that people are no longer with us, and businesses. There's a couple businesses there, I guess at least one I can think of, that's no longer active as well, but it gives us some history on it. But I guess my comment is regarding someone like Mary McGinnis, who was honored on one of those boards. And it's so nice to see, and she's so excited about it. And there's a lady that lives in Kensington all her life, grew up here, grew up with me all her life, and she's very humble, and you wouldn't even know she lived in Kensington. She's so quiet and shy. You might want to call her shy as well. But she's so happy about that. She had it posted on her Facebook page where she became famous, and that just I thought that was so touching. So it's good to see. But I think in the future, anytime if it continues on, we should try to get as many people that are currently with us recognized, because that's when they get to see it too, and how important it is to some of those people. And maybe we should take it even further from the arts and culture and music and look at the town itself, because we've got quite a bit of trail between the between the funeral home and number 2 highway, and we could recognize other people within the town. It might be somebody that sat around this table at one time throughout the years, or contribute to the town, or businesses, or families for that matter. We talked about recognizing families when we were naming streets. Well, maybe we could do that on these here storyboards as well. So just my thoughts, and I think it's great, and we should continue it on, even if the Heart of PEI finishes their project. Thank you.
And I think that is the plan, I think, of the Heart of PEI, to try and come forward with more. This was the first kick at it, and we actually think the plan was to do about 8 or 9 maybe in 10, but we ended up doing 16, so I agree. It's nice to be recognized, some people while they're still around to appreciate the recognition.
Our goal was to get 6 to 10.
Yeah, and we got 16, so, yeah. What was
Our
that?
goal was to get 6 to 10. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Pickering. All right, any other questions of the PEI, Heart of PEI initiative? Hearing none, Councillor McCrae, Kensington Area Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Your Worship. Small Business Week was very successful. A lot of the businesses were quite pleased with the presentations and Julie and everything that went on. November the 24th is the gala, and it's at Clinton Hills. Actually, we're having our next meeting on Wednesday of this week, but an email went out for an invite from the mayor to all the chamber members for the business park grand opening on Friday, so we all received that at 3 o'clock, and we were all encouraged to attend. But with that, that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. And the gala awards, November the 24th, you said, right? And at Clinton Hills. And I will be there, and we should be letting Mrs. McKinnon know who else is going to be able to attend on behalf of the town. So Deputy Mayor Pickering, Bonnie, you'll be away. Oh, that's right. Councillor Mann? Okay. Thursday. Is there?
Yeah, there's a Federation meeting, I think I'd like to attend that one too.
Councillor Toombs?
Probably not, but I have to check.
All right. And staff, you folks can let Wendy know as well. All right, thank you. Any questions to Councillor McCrae? You got some names there anyway, right? All right, good. All right, PEI 55 plus games. Councillor Glant, this is probably is this a wrap-up report on PEI 55 plus?
I think so.
Okay.
They do have the 55 Plus Society does have a meeting this Monday. It's kind of a follow-up meeting to their annual meeting, which was kind of broken down due to the storm. They were supposed to hold it here in Kensington, and then they followed up with it a couple of weeks later, but due to some people not having internet or power, they didn't have a big turnout. So they're having a follow-up meeting this Monday morning at 9:30, which I'm not going to be able to attend. I was hoping to get to their annual meeting and just give them an update on from our perspective from the 55 plus games. But it don't look like I'm going to be able to get there. But I'm planning on meeting with them at some point in time, Cindy and I, and maybe any other chairperson that wants to attend, and have some discussion with them as to follow up where we might be able to be better, or where they might be able to help us out a little more in the future. And I think everybody's got a copy of the financial statement, which is it's a pretty simple financial statement. And just the sponsorship, you'll see at the top, it says one sponsorship check for $1,000, but when you look down the statement and you see registrations, well, that would also be other sponsorships along with registrations. Wendy just didn't list the various sponsors there. There was a few other sponsors that are not listed there, and then it gets down to the town of Kensington, which we started off with $2,500, and then registration again, which again could include registrations or sponsors from other organizations or businesses. And as we move down, if you see names like Wade Morrison, that was just a person who was a volunteer who had spent a few dollars to buy something he needed, and so on. So it's pretty straightforward. New London Complex and the rural municipality of Muscush, we had to pay those folks for their facilities. Red Sands Golf Course, you'll notice, was a fair amount of money there, $57.50, but that is because all money came into us for the registrations, for their golf fees and so on, and then we just in turn paid them back. And golf was one of the bigger events, of course. and then there's some people's names on there who would be either officials and/or volunteers who had bought something to help out with their event. And then Family and Friends is our banquet we held at the end, along with Mike's Independent, where some of the event coordinators or chairpersons would have got some sort of snacks or water or something for their event. Mel's Petrocan, that was gift certificates for events. And then at the end of it, we had to pay $5 for every registration back to the 55-plus games, which is in the agreement to start with. So at the end of the day, we finished with, we had $14,477 in revenue, and we spent $10,688.28. Gives us a surplus of $3,788.72, and when you take our $2,500 that we had originally put in, so we got a real surplus of about $1,288. So at the end of the day, we weren't in it to make money, but we didn't lose money either, which is, I guess, was the goal when it comes to a financial statement. And with that, I would just move that that be accepted by council and it be left in the account for the future of the games, which is supposed to be held here again next September.
Thank you, Councillor Gallant. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Pickering. So the motion is that the report be accepted and that the 378872 be left for the start of the games in 2023, which the town of Kensington is going to be the sponsor of. Any discussion, council? Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. And I think Mrs. McKinnon has been in touch with the bank. I think if we move that money over into the shares account and just leave it in the shares account for the rest of the year, or until we need it, then put it into a checking account after that, so we don't pay service fees. So that's what will be taking place. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Councillor Gallant. Thank you for a good year of running the 55-plus games. It's nice to see them come out on top. All right, moving right along to new business. Request for decision number 40, which is the annual Christmas bonus that we give, and it was increased last year to be $400 net to each employee. Questions, council? Any questions on the resolution that is before you, or the request for decision that's before you? Hearing none, who wants to read into the record the resolution? Deputy Mayor Pickering, go right ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be it resolved that the Town Council authorize the CAO to administer a 2022 Christmas bonuses to all exempt staff, including the Chief Administrative Officer, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, Municipal Clerk, Administrative Assistant, Police Chief, Deputy Police Chief, Public Works Supervisor, Credit Union Center Manager, and the Credit Union Center Assistant Manager in the amount of $400 net to each employee.
Thank you, Deputy. Do we have a seconder for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor McCrae. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next is resolution or request for decision number 41, which is the disposal of the 2008 Ford Taurus Police Interceptor. That information is before you. Any questions, Council, on the request for a decision before you? Councillor Toombs.
Thank you. Just for we won't be taking the engine or transmission out until it's sold, right? We'll just leave it all together and then, because I mean, it'd be better left in it unless you're going to crush it beforehand, or...
Mr. Baker?
Because if it doesn't sell, it'd be better to crush it all, right?
We'll ask the Chief to answer that question.
Okay, so you all remember the history of the car. It was an accident last winter, got written off. The car went to the auction and ended up, I don't remember exactly what we got back for it, but we were paid out for the car. And we had the option to take the car back. So the car only has 73,000 kilometers on it. It was an excellent car, excellent shape. So Mr. Baker and I had talked about how to dispose of it. There was a junk dealer or two came along and said they'd give us $300 for the car. Okay, so I thought that was not enough. So I kind of looked into some other avenues, and there was a local guy here in Kensington that will take the car, crush it, but will take the engine out for us. And there's some valuable parts on that car because we have the twin turret here we're running every day. So we'd have an engine and transmission and the car crushed and anything else we want off the car for the cost of $500. I thought that might be the way to go. That's what I'm asking you to go along with or approve tonight. I can have that car, will be gone by the end of the week, supposedly, and we will never see it again, but we will bring the engine transmission back, radiator, all that stuff will come back to, we'll try and store it somewhere at Public Works. The engine and transmission to replace that car in one of those tours is $4,000 to $5,000, so that's...
There are, Mr. Baker, go ahead.
Now, I was just going to add to that we're going to tender these parts right away. So as soon as the parts are out of the vehicle, we'll issue a public tender to dispose of the parts. What you had brought up at committee meeting is not lost on us, that the last thing we want to do is see this stuff sit, take up room in the public workshop, rust, things of that nature. So we'll put effort into trying to dispose of this stuff as quickly as possible.
Councillor Toombs?
Yeah, I figured, that's what I figured was going to happen, and I just thought it might stay in the car until it was tendered out, because, and then take it out, and, you know, and then we could still crush the car if it sells, and if it turns out that the engine transmission doesn't sell, well, we don't have to spend the $500 to take it out, we could just crush the car, is what I was thinking.
The $500 includes the crushing of the car?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to have, we'll retain the wheels and tires that were on it too. So that was my plan to, and Mr. Baker and I's plan to try and dissolve of it as quickly as we could. And by the end of next week or the end of the month, I would say that we have the parts out and it would be gone.
Mr. Baker, you look like you got your hand on the button.
I just want, I guess, for clarity, what you're suggesting is that we leave the parts in the car until we have a buyer of the car, and then we have the parts taken out of the car and have it crushed.
I just figured they're in the it's in the car, and it's kind of protected, and everything's fluids, everything's all connected, and if we're tendering to sell the parts anyways, right, a little bit longer. If we tender it and then somebody comes up, yeah, I'll give you X amount of dollars, we can pull them out, they can come pick it up, and then the car will still be disposed. Everything will still go the same way. I just thought it saves crushing the car and then storing the engine and transmission over in a corner somewhere, which is not near as tidy as sitting in the vehicle at the moment. That's all I was looking at. Saying it's going to end up the same way, I just thought, you know.
Yep.
Well, can we leave that with that information for staff to review, consider, and you can look at the best way to handle it, whether you want to tender all the stuff. You may be kind to keep some of the stuff. Are the tires any good?
Yes, tires and
some of the stuff you're going to
retained.
keep yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Can we leave that with staff to evaluate that and make the best decision that's possible, or do you want them to give them direction that they can't take it out? Which way do you want to have it?
But no, I was just going to say, our intention will be to proceed as we have proposed, which is to have the components removed, have it demolished, tender it out, get rid of the parts as quickly as possible. That's our intention going forward from today, unless you guys would like us to do something different.
Council, what's your wish? Councillor Gallant.
I'm happy with moving forward the way they had planned.
Everybody else? All right, who wants to read into the record the resolution? Councillor Gallant, or Toombs, pardon me.
Where is it? Be it resolved that Town Council authorize the CAO to dispose of the 2018 Ford Taurus Police Interceptor in the following manner. Strip the vehicle of any usable or sellable parts. Have the vehicle crushed, dispose of any usable parts through a public tendering process.
Thank you, Councillor Toombs. We will have a seconder, seconded by Councillor Gallant. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council.
I'm going to excuse myself.
All right.
Have a good night.
Chief, thank you. Have a good one. All right, we'll move right along to other matters. I wanted to mention that if you can put on your calendar November the 18th, that's this Friday, at 1 p.m. at the Credit Union Center, there's going to be an announcement, and I'm not at liberty to give you any more information than that because it's not our position to announce. So I have,
So what's that again, November 18th?
pardon me, this Friday at 1 p.m. at the Credit Union Center.
Before the business park.
And then at 3 o'clock on the same day, we'll go right from the Credit Union Center out to the business park at the bottom end of the business park where the traffic circle is, or the turning circle is, and we'll have an official opening of the business park. And we have invited guests, and you are all invited to attend as well. So hopefully we'll get a good attendance. On Thursday, November the 24th, we're going to light the Christmas lights around town different this year. Rather than waiting to do them on December, we're going to kind of have an official Christmas tree lighting on the 24th at 5 o'clock p.m. And they'll all the lights will come on at the same time, and that'll be an official lighting. So anybody who wishes to attend, we will have them then rather than having them on and then, in theory, have an official lighting after they've already been on for 2 weeks. So we're going to turn them all on at the same time, give or take an hour. We'll be doing the official lighting at the gazebo at 5 p.m. I'm correct in that now, aren't I? Okay. On the Christmas parade then will take place on December the 4th, starting at 5 p.m. at the rink. This year there's a little different as well. It gets crowded in the freight shed with all the kids trying to meet with Santa Claus. So we're having a little change this year. We're going to end at the train station as we usually do, but then the entertainment and the hot dogs and the cookies and the hot chocolate will be at the Murray Center instead of at the gazebo and at the rink. So then if it's cold, people are not going to be finding it quite as, going to make it better for the people who are entertaining. It's also going to make it a little better for kids to see the Santa Claus, because it gets pretty crowded. If you've ever been in the freight shed after the parade is over, it is wall-to-wall people. So we're going to try that this year. Everybody seems to be happy with it so far, so we'll give it a whirl and see how it works. On Christmas, our town Christmas party is on the next day, Monday, December the 5th. It's at 6 o'clock for 6:30, and we invite our Councillor-elect, Councillor Doucette, to join us for that one. It's at the Family and Friends. So if you can let Wendy know if you can be there. And the other thing is, you've seen in correspondence the orientation. There's an orientation down in Victoria on November the 17th. Now, I think Councillor Doucette, I think you're thinking to going?
Yeah, I'm attending the 17th in Victoria.
Is there anybody else planning to go that night? Be nice to have somebody go with them if at all possible.
What time is that?
It's at 6:30 till 8:30.
This is Thursday, right?
That's this Thursday. If- All right, if you can't, if there's nobody available to go, let me know, and I will try to go along with him, because I think it'd be nice to have somebody go along with him. He's new, it'd be nice to have somebody escort him, so.
Yeah, well, I've been a few of them, but I would want to see them go though, because I'll tell Vic an attempt to go too as well. I don't have to be back in town till I get someone to drop them off and pick them up, I'm done at the rink at 10 o'clock, so just be back with that.
Yeah. All right, so can you two
Because it's just
escort?
federation thing anyway, so.
Yeah, well, exactly. And a lot of us have been to them. I've been to, I don't know how many of them now. 5, I guess, 4, I guess. I do have another meeting that night that I'm planning to go to, but I would skip that one if there was nobody else available to go with Councillor Doucette. So either Councillor Mann or Councillor Glant, one or both of you will be able to attend with them? Great. Perfect. And if there's anybody else, what? What? All right. Yes, Councillor Glant.
Great way to introduce them to municipal politics, so we'd let them go alone.
Yeah. And the final thing I had is I wanted to congratulate all of the councillors who are returning. You have all been re-elected, and also congratulations to Councillor-elect Doucette, who we look forward to our first meeting in December, which is on the second Monday of December at 7 o'clock sharp. And thank you as well to Deputy Mayor Pickering for your past 8 years of service. It's been a pleasure having you, and we will still have you for our next committee of council meeting. We do have a committee of council meeting the fourth Monday of the month, and you are more than welcome to come and join us then as well. And I trust Deputy Mayor Pickering will be here for the last one. The other thing I forgot to mention, the swearing in of all councillors is going to be on December the 7th at 7 p.m. Correct? Correct, 7 p.m.? 7 p.m. here in the chambers. That's on a Wednesday, I believe. Yeah. So you got the parade on Sunday, you got the banquet on Tuesday, or Monday, you get Tuesday off, and then you're back here on Wednesday. And then the next. So the rest of this month and December is busy, busy, busy. So I look forward to, it's going to be an exciting 4 years. I look forward to, we've had an exciting 4 years past, actually exciting 8 years. And we've accomplished a lot as a council, and I look forward to accomplishing as much or more in the next 4 years ahead. So hang on to your hat, folks. We'll soon be off to a new term. All right, that's all the matters I had. Any other matters, council, that other councilors had? Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Your Worship. A couple of things I'd like to bring up. I was wondering if it wouldn't be a good idea for yourself or from council to send a letter off to the province and see if they'd put a few Christmas decorations up this year around the post office. It's the only provincial building we have in town, and a number of years ago they used to always there used to be trees there, but they're gone now. But if they could put a couple of Christmas trees up or decorate them a little bit on the main intersection of Kensington, I think it would brighten up the town a bit. And wondering if we could send a letter off to those folks, and I'm not sure who's in charge of that building now, but see if they could put up a couple of trees. They do it at all the other provincial buildings in Charlottetown and up in Alberton and Summerside, so I can't see why they shouldn't do it here.
All right, you got a note on that? You got a note? We'll do something, see what we can do. Try to. Do you have another matter?
Yeah. The other thing I'd like to bring up, Your Worship, is I don't know if anyone else has did this, but I was out to our public forest, not the Hog Public Forest, but the one up at the high school on the Gorman property on Sunday. I took a walk in there just to see what it was like, and I don't suppose anyone else has been in there, but you wouldn't believe. Have you been in?
You took the Girl Guides there last year.
No, just lately though, since the storm. So it's unbelievable the damage in there. It's almost flat in there, and there is a number of walking trails in there that people, I know lots of people around town go for a walk in there and so on and so forth, and you can't get through it anymore. It's that bad. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, and hoping that maybe, it would be my thought, in the spring, if not before, but it might be hard before, but in the spring, if we could maybe look at the possibility of getting a program with some students and or someone who's works in that area of removing lumber, and there's a lot of good wood in there. It could be cut and cleaned up and the wood could be given to someone who needs it or whatever, but, and get those trails opened up again, because it really is in bad shape, and I encourage anybody to take a walk up, take a look, and just see how bad it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Baker's got that noted. All right, thank you, Councillor Glant. Deputy Mayor Pickering.
Thank you, Your Worship. This just popped into my head. I believe 4 years ago, Councillor Gallant brought up after Dorian about doing a tree drive or something and replacing trees that had fallen. Did we ever do anything with that? Because we did have interest in it back then, didn't we? And now with Fiona happening too, and we losing more trees, that maybe we could work with conjunction of the watershed program and get some trees, donate it, and maybe put into, do like a tree drive or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Baker, do you have anything, have we done anything on that? Any investigating?
So we didn't run a tree program ourselves where we let out trees or we promoted really the planting of trees, certainly not in proximity to the right-of-ways, but I believe it was the province, as part of Earth Day, had gave away a bunch of trees shortly after Dorian, so there was quite a bit of uptake around the town for that, but we didn't run a program ourselves. I believe we let the trees out here at Town Hall so people could come by the Town Hall to pick up the trees, but that's as far as we were involved in anything.
Well, and actually, what took place there, I was actually invited down to CBC, and I was given trees at 6:30 in the morning, and it was announced on CBC that I was coming back to Kensington with I forget how many trees I had, a dozen or something like that, and they were waiting for me when I got here, and they weren't long going. They all went, but that is something maybe we can take a look at trying to find something along that same line. I know with Earth Day, that's one of the things that we're part of Earth Day, and they encourage tree planting. So I don't know if our municipal clerk has anything more. There's nothing else that you can add to that at this stage of the game, is there?
We gave away a few hundred trees last year for Earth Day.
We gave away a few hundred trees? Oh, did we? Okay, well, we gave away a few hundred trees last year for Earth Day, so we'll hopefully do the similar thing again this year. And but it'd be nice to do more. I know we lost a lot in Dorian, and we lost an awful lot more in Fiona, and hopefully we can start to get some more planted and get some more growing. It's unfortunate to be losing as many as we have, because they're the big mature trees. It's going to take a long time for these little seedlings to grow. Councillor Glant?
Just to follow up on that, Your Worship, and I did bring it up, I think it was shortly after Dorian, and actually I had some people mention that to me over the last couple of weeks during the election, that they'd like to see a few more trees. We've lost a lot of trees, as you all know, in Kensington over the last 3 or 4 years, or 3 years, and a lot of them big old trees that's been here for a long time. And if we plant new ones, obviously we won't be around to see them get to the size that some of them were that were blowing down. But I think what people would like to see is some kind of a program where maybe the town, the province, and as you say, the watershed groups get involved, where people might plant trees on their property, not, and as one lady mentioned to me, not out next to the power lines, and really not next to their buildings, but if they got property where they can, plant trees a little bit away from their house and not next to the power lines, and get a few more trees growing in Kensington. So it'd be something we could look into.
We might be able to plant a few trees out in the John Hogg Forest area too. There's a big field there that we mow part of it for walking, but there's spots inside where just left to grow to grass. So we could probably take a look at planting something there. So we do have some possibilities for in our own town-owned land where we can do some. But yes, Councillor Glant.
And just on that again, as you look at the Gorman property out there, back, I think it was in 2004 or 5, whenever we opened that property up, that was where all those spruce trees, those rows of spruce trees now was just a field. Yeah. And so those trees are not that old, and look how they've grown, yeah. And it's a nice little forest out there, and they're all, you know, they're in good shape, and they're far enough apart where they don't get damaged if the wind blows, and so on and so forth. So that was that's a prime example there, what we could do with some open land, because we need trees, that's for sure.
Yes, we do have some land out around the well field, the one across the road on the left-hand side of Woodley Drive. We could perhaps put some trees on too. Councillor Toombs.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to do with the trees also out at the Gorman property, the ones close to the power line, it wouldn't hurt if we keep an eye on them and maybe keep them just trimmed a little, because the bigger they get, they catch a lot more wind, and we might end up losing them, and it'll kind of almost make a little nicer hedgy type setup, right? And also for the lights around town, we never did get anything with Maritime Electric on plugs to make things easier, did we?
They are supposed to be putting plugs in, but I think Fiona kind of put a little bit of a kibosh to it, so it does not look like, unless there's an update, does not look like they're going to be done this year. They were going to be done for this year, but that's not happening, correct, Mr. Baker? Yeah. If it hadn't been for Fiona, I think they might have been ready for this year, but now we're going to be back to the old way, and hopefully for next year, we'll be in good shape again. But it has been initiated, there's a work order in, and they're, Maritime Electric agreed to do it, but it's not done.
I knew we had talked about it, and I just couldn't remember if we ever got farther or talking to Maritime Electric. I knew we put some money aside for that. I mean, it's been a busy year, and like you said, with everything that's going on, so.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be done in the fall, but Fiona, they put it off to do it in the fall, in plenty of time for Christmas, but Fiona kind of put the schedule out of whack. I guess we'll let them off the hook this time. Any other questions? Councillor Spencer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I noticed in the bills list we had a bill from Sign Station for Harvest Festival signage, and I wasn't sure. I know we had spoken there this year during the Harvest Festival that the banner sign we used to have on the post office property had been destroyed a couple of years ago and never replaced. Was that expense for a replacement for that, or is that something we should still be looking at ordering sometime over the winter so we have it ready for next summer?
Mr. Baker, do you know?
I'm not sure which sign that's for.
I think that signage was just for the Harvest Festival this year. I don't think anything was done on that sign in the corner, but that may be something that Mr. Baker can talk to Mr. Wood about. And I know it is, I heard some feedback as well that there's nothing public in that corner, and whether we can get something to advertise. I know one of the things we talked about, Mr. Baker and I talked about one time, is trying to get, rather than a sign in that corner, see if we can get some sort of an overhead, so maybe we can try to do something along those lines that, like they do in Summerside, so people are going to see it. There's a bit of a safety factor as well with it right on the corner, so we can have it in another spot and have an overhead sign that we can put up and take down. We can perhaps use it for several things, so I think that's one of the things that is being considered and looked at for next year, but I'll leave that with Mr. Baker to comment if I'm correct. Am I off base on that?
No, you're on the mark on that. I believe there were several discussions held on it. I believe Councillor Gallant and I had some discussion on it. Yourself and I had some conversations about it. So Robert and I have had some discussions about how we're going to address public signage for this year. One of the things we did talk about is running an overhead sign from utility pole to utility pole. We also talked about the Canada Post property as well as a possibility to put that large banner sign back there. We did have a banner sign up at one point, but I believe it was on the fence down on the kind of fenced-in compound in front of the rink there, which we kind of want something around in proximity to the main intersection. So that is something that we are looking into for the 2023 Harvest Festival.
All right. Is that it?
No.
Do you have another question?
Yes. When we were approached about 3 years ago by, I guess it was the Journal Pioneer, about having the flyers delivered to the boxes rather than every doorstep, since then we've lost The one by the newly replaced postal mailboxes by Centennial Park has been removed, I think, and added at the post office because the post office one was constantly empty. Now the one by the seniors building seems to have been damaged at some point. It won't stand up straight, and the past month or two it's now been sitting up in the corral where they keep their propane tank and never used. I wasn't sure if we have a contact that we could ask to bring a new, maybe two, since they've replaced those postal boxes to Centennial Park. That would be a natural spot again to place one. Plus at the seniors building, so the seniors don't have to walk here to the town hall or somewhere else.
We can certainly.
The flyers,
make a request.
the flyer boxes,
Yeah,
sorry.
and just for the flyers, correct? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll certainly do some follow-up on that. Councillor Glant?
Just to follow up to Councillor Spencer's request regarding the signage, we always had a sign down at the post office, which was a banner, said Harvest Festival from this date to that date. And this, I think, was the first year it wasn't there. And I did have a few people as well, and I did see some of it on social media, where people were disappointed at the fact that it wasn't there. And Your Worship, talking about the overhead signage, back a few years ago, we did have an overhead sign that used to go across right about where the post office is, Bell's Irving, across there.
Yeah.
And that'd be back probably in the 90s, or maybe, yeah, it's been a few years since it's been there, but we did have one back then, which also, but I also think that there was a safety issue with putting that up and down too, as far as the town doing it. And maybe we stopped doing that, or the rink stopped doing it at the time, because would have had to get Maritime Electric in to do it or something to that nature. I know that they do it in Summerside, but they have their own utility in there with the proper equipment, so that's something we have to take into consideration. But I agree, signage for the Harvest Festival should be there.
Yeah, I think we all agree that we want to advertise it a little more, get a little more attention to it, so we hope to do a better job in 2023. Correct, Mr. Baker? It's on his radar. Any other questions, council, any other matters? Councillor Mann.
Yeah, I noticed not too long ago, we were talking about like the banners and stuff, like looking for an autumn sign, and just having Remembrance Day. I'm just wondering, was there any thought of given of recognizing, Kensington veterans, like for a short spell, on those banners as well? I've seen it done in other municipalities, so I just thought it was something that.
You mean the ones that, are you talking about the ones that are on the trail?
Yeah, the train station and stuff.
Okay,
Yeah,
yep.
the ones I heard PI did.
Yep.
I was just wondering if there was ever consideration for Remembrance Day. So it might be a nice gesture to recognize,
Take certain, more
resident
than one,
resident
you mean
veterans.
take
Yeah.
3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever, and put specific banners up recognizing certain veterans.
Certain
Okay.
veterans, yeah.
Yep. All right, can we put that on the review list, Mr. Baker? All right. Any other questions, council? Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move right along to correspondence. Correspondence, the first item of correspondence is the request from the Prince County Hospital Foundation to see if we wanted to put up any donation to the Lights for Life. Just for the benefit of Councillor Doucette, we make a donation of $5,000 a year to the Prince County Hospital. We made a 10-year commitment for 10 years, and I think we're into the first year of the 5,000. We just finished a $3,000 a year, so we typically don't donate to the specific request. We do an annual donation. The next is the newsletter from the Federation of PEI Municipalities, and all that information is before you. The next one is information on grants for disaster response and communications, and each of the 35 fire departments of PEI received a $20,000 donation to the PEI Firefighters Association, so we thank the province for that. Our fire department was one of the recipients. They also have delivered some generators, but we're not aware of all the parameters on that at this stage of the game. They just found that out today, unless Mr. Baker has something new to add. Do you have anything new to add on that? We're still finding out what what the conditions and what the,
We
how we're
had,
supposed to operate it.
no, we have the 15 generators. The 15 generators are in our possession. We haven't developed parameters on how we're going to deal with them, how we're going to issue them. They're there to allow the fire department to provide assistance to people located within the district that are suffering from extended power failure situations. But again, we haven't looked at any parameters around that whatsoever at this point. All I know is that we have 15 generators.
Anyway, there's a lot of information in the Federation's newsletter. Also, Councillor Glant,
What size generators would they be?
we don't even know the answer to that question. That was a question that was asked today, and we didn't have the answer at this stage of the game. It's it came in, I think the information came in late this morning, so it's fresh, and I guess we will bring more to the table when we know more. At this stage of the game, it's like we've got something there that we don't know what the conditions are. I don't know if there's anything else on here. The only other, well, there's other information. It's mostly information for your review. I did give you all a copy of the letter that I sent to Honorable Corey Deagle regarding the water drainage issue on Broadway Street North. Yes, Broadway Street North, that we've talked to him on different times. I've shown him what the issue is. Anyway, just put that back on his radar, and I did receive a response back from him that he was going to check into it and follow up more. So that's been talked about since I got on council, and hopefully it's something is done before I'm off council. Then there's the municipal affairs invitations to the orientation, which you all have. And is there anything else? I think that's the code of conduct information. So it's mostly information for you all to have a look at. Are there any questions or any comments on any of the things that are in correspondence? I hope you all take a chance to read it all, and if there's anything, by all means, let us know. That is all the correspondence. There's no in-camera tonight. If there is nothing else to bring before this regular meeting of council, I would call for a motion to adjourn. So moved by Councillor Glantz, whose hand was up here? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Pickering. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. It is now 8:03 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all those who are listening at home, and we hope you'll tune in again next month. Good night, everyone.